Good morning, Tuvalu! Why do I have my headphones on for this? That sounded really weird. And welcome to the Star Trek Prodigy Season 1, Episode 18, Mindwalk Review. I don't think that order I say those words in ever has any consistency, but there's only so many ways I can say it. I hope everyone's doing well. I'm glad this stream could happen. Yesterday, yeah, was it like a family event? It went longer than I thought, so I didn't really have time to do the stream. Woke up at 2:30 a.m. today because there was a big, like, 6-inch bulge in the ceiling, just leaking water. And that wasn't good. We had to deal with that, so we had to get a guy in to look at it. Everything's fine. It's fine now. The guy came before noon, so thankfully we could have the stream now. I was kind of worried about, like, how long it might take, because it's in this room that the leak was in and that people would be working on. But everything is fine. Mindwalk. This is an interesting one. It's establishing, I think, a new modern trope of body swapping episodes. Because the only other body swapping episode, well, in classic Star Trek I can think of, is Turnabout Intruder, the last TOS episode. But now you have, like, Spock Amok, and I don't know if there's others. I want to say there's more. Maybe it's just the close proximity of the two. It's kind of interesting. Aniket, hello. Hi, you're in perfect time. Argentina won the Soccer World Cup, and today's your birthday. Happy birthday. A lot of December birthdays. I've got a December birthday too. I didn't stream though. It was like a Wednesday. But yes, congratulations, Argentina. Not happy birthday, Argentina. It could be Argentina's birthday. I don't know. I hope no one was watching this before the World Cup. Didn't want that spoiled, but there we go. Yeah. This episode is interesting because yes, it kind of establishes that precedent. I mean, it's easy for, like, a hijinks and Sue's episode. Let me just switch over to the credits. It was very fun watching Admiral Janeway kind of bumble about incompetently like a child, because that was what was happening. I'm sure Kate Mulgrew had just a blast filming this episode or recording it. I feel I could feel that. It was just, it's different, it's fun. That was very fun to watch. I tried to focus on that. Oh, come on, don't bark. He's been sleeping all morning. Oh, I see, the kids are down. Is he gonna be quiet, or am I gonna have to deal with this? It looks like we're good. When, the start and they swap the bodies, I felt like this was everything they've wanted for the past 10 episodes, or more. So it was kind of weird, like, they finally got a chance to talk to Starfleet without, destroying them. So I understand Dal's initial, like, freaking out, confusion bit, but I don't really get why he didn't at some point realize, like, hey, this is exactly what we wanted. If I just come clean, this could work out. And it's a risk. Like, he thinks Starfleet thinks they're criminals, which is right. He doesn't know if they'll believe them. There's a lot of reasons. Like, it's a risk, but as the stakes get higher for Dal, and, like, he's closer and closer to Discovery, I don't get why he doesn't just go, hang on, wait, and try and explain the situation. Like, when they're about to put him under to take him to sickbay and he's gonna get discovered, why not come clean now? And so that did detract from the episode. There's also another small point that, Aniket, maybe you can answer, or anyone else in the chat, that I could have just forgotten. They might have explained this, but I wasn't sure why the protostar can't be boarded. I was unclear on that, because they did dock with the satellite just fine. That didn't destroy the satellite. It wasn't until the satellite relay station started downloading the data. I think it's because if Starfleet boards, they'll take over the ship. They just will. They'll take control. And then maybe they'll try and start interfacing with the Dauntless, or they'll try and communicate, like, hey, we took the ship. And again, they can try and warn them, but it's a risk. They might not listen. They might go ahead and do it anyway. They might not believe the kids. As an audience, I think we can acknowledge that's probably not going to happen. Like, they would take precautions. But, you know, is Dal on there on the Starfleet ship, is Admiral Janeway, first off, you give him a very good reason not to destroy the Protostar. I've just realized, because Janeway is on the Protostar. Secondly, he has a lot of evidence. Like, we've never fired upon you except that one time, and we were trying to communicate. I don't think they hit the Dauntless. Like, they've only tried to run. Like, it's a very coherent, consistent story. And like, I just didn't really understand. You know, this felt like everything they ever wanted, and they never took advantage of it, and that detracted from the episode for me. So I did try and focus on, like, it was fun watching Janeway play Dal kind of thing. But that did kind of take it away from me. I liked Janeway as Dal. So on the Protostar, that all went very well. I'm happy with that. It was kind of fun seeing Janeway talk with Janeway. Can I get to that? Yeah, the Janeway and the Holo Janeway. Kind of establishing that the Holo Janeway has Admiral Janeway's full memories. That was like a proper, I don't know, engram transfer, whatever. When they were making the emergency medical hologram, of course, the Doctor does not have all of Zimmerman's memories. I think that's pretty clear. And when they were modeling it after Bashir, they were kind of just gathering a lot of factual data. Like, it wasn't a memory transplant. So that's kind of interesting, actually, that this is the Admiral Janeway from Voyager. It's not the same person as the person on the Dauntless, but this is Janeway from Voyager. It's the same person. I suppose, depending on your philosophy of a person. From Anakin again, Mindwalk episode has everything. Great voice acting by Kate Mulgrew and Brett Gray. Yes, I don't know the Prodigy voice cast by name, but yeah, Dal or rather, I suppose Brett Gray did a great job doing a Janeway voice, or kind of not changing his voice, but talking as Kate Mulgrew would, talking as Janeway would. I think that in the mind-swapping episodes, that's been very well done in general. Ethan Peck and I don't know T'Pring's actress did a great job when they swap voices of just, they're both Vulcan, you know, they act pretty similarly, but they had to slightly alter their, like, mannerisms, and I think T'Pring even has a line, like, now that you know, you can probably see the subtle differences in our mannerisms. It's like, yeah, that's been really well done in the mind-swapping episodes so far. Great work. But yeah, my only thing is that I don't know if it's a plot hole why they can't board. I've just forgotten, or maybe it's not explained well. But it did detract a little bit that I felt they had everything. Like, I felt solved. The problem felt solved with Dal, you know, being on the Dauntless. And even now, if we just skip ahead to the end of this episode, I don't see the conflict here. They can create one. I think they might have a harder job at it. You know, there's loads of ways they could make it believable. But Admiral Janeway is now going to act like herself. She can explain the situation, and it's, you know, we'll have to see what they do with it. But it feels like Janeway could fairly easily get out of this. You know, that she seems to know this crew very well. She seems to be close to the Doctor and the Commander, and there's gotta be something, you know, that could help, or at least the stakes are so high that you know, you can't risk it, is kind of the scenario. Like, I guess at the same time, you can't risk letting the Protostar go, but it's surrounded by a fleet now. Like, the Protostar is not going to escape. It's I'm not going to judge the next episode before it happens, but I do think they're setting themselves up for a difficult premise. From Anakin again. Oh, today's also the birthday of the voice actor of Jenkum Pog. Jason, I try not to, think I'm going to butcher this name. Jason Mantzoukas? I couldn't do it wrong. I tried to save foreign names that are hard for English to pronounce until I hear it, because otherwise I learn it wrong. But happy birthday, Jenkum Pog. Happy birthday, Jason. I can say that one. A lot of people's birthdays today, apparently. But yeah, I think we'll go through a scene by scene now, kind of formulate my thoughts a bit better. I like as well, this was the episodes where it ended. I was like putting the thumbnail up in OBS. I'm like, oh yeah, Mindwalk. This makes sense now. Also, my mic just peaked again. OBS sometimes just says my mic explodes. What does that sound like? It just happened. I hope it sounds normal and it's not just like random noise explosions, because I've never heard it and I don't actually talk louder. It's just sometimes OBS just says my mic explodes. Let's see. Go through. I don't know if I have much to say about this Janeway stuff. Part of it felt like they got Hollow Janeway out of the way because real Janeway was showing up. I mean, it's hard to imagine what she must be feeling, especially if this is Janeway. This is the Janeway character. It's not some simulation. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we didn't need her. We didn't need her for this episode. Logan won. It's totally fine. That is great to hear. Maybe OBS just has a bug. But yeah, I guess maybe it was for a writing thing. They don't need Janeway. They kind of just put her out of the way. I don't have too much to say. I did kind of find this bit a bit weird. I don't think I can get the frame, but when the Tellarite, the Tellarite doctor sees the crew, he's like shocked and runs to the bridge, but doesn't do anything about it. Like, I felt his reaction was a bit weird. That's a nitpick. But yeah, let's get into now kind of the meat. Continuing from last episode, which was a great cliffhanger. Do I have anything to say about this? Let's see. It felt more, I guess, maybe a bit like a classic Doctor Who cliffhanger, where a classic Doctor Who, if you don't know, needed a cliffhanger like every episode, basically. They were all like 4 6-part stories. There was a cliffhanger between each one, and they have a reputation for kind of being like empty. Oh my god, the dog is freaking out. Comet! Hey! Comet? It's okay. Are we good? Alright, he's been... Comet! You've been so good for the live streams in the past. Come here. Here's someone letting other dogs out. Yeah, this was not an empty resolution, but it didn't... it was kind of a really suspenseful cliffhanger, and then this was just like put Janeway in the closet. But no, I think it worked absolutely fine. It was nice getting everything in motion. You can definitely feel, I think, the resolution that's going to be in this final episode of the season. Like, we're gonna wrap up the arcs. Like, I still don't know if Prodigy has a second season. Let me actually go and confirm that, because it could just become, again, basically Star Trek Academy. We could look for Chakotay. I guess you could say we've kind of set that up with the Janeway and Janeway conversation. Digi, Memory Alpha. Memory Alpha's out of date. It says 17 episodes. But let me check. Season... Okay, so Prodigy does have a second season. That has already been announced. So I'm very interested to see where it goes. We could have something out of nowhere happen at the end of this season. Like, I don't know, temporal anomaly thing. They get... I have no idea what it's going to do for season 2. But yeah, it was nice getting all the pieces in place. I think the Vindicator, was it? Is going to be the main source of preventing Janeway from just taking command again in the finale. I think Janeway being in prison isn't really going to be a big deal. I don't think they can make it a big deal. I think the Vindicator actively acting against Janeway is going to be the big force of conflict in the finale. Which, I don't know. Do we know if it's double length or not? It's a Christmas Eve finale. I think I'll still do the live stream, because noon on Christmas Eve. I don't think I'm doing anything. We'll see. Obviously, that one might be delayed a bit, but I haven't heard anything about the episode length. Going through... Not a whole lot to say here. I found it interesting that they could use Dal's telepathic genes, because I thought those were dormant. Even if that's the case, you can still say maybe Zero's helping activate them. Maybe he's a weak telepath. Maybe because he had them activated so recently, there's still lingering effects. Yada yada. I do find it interesting that it never occurred to me until, Gwen said it, that Zero could potentially just telepathically communicate with Janeway. You could argue that maybe it's weird that it didn't come up before, that Zero wouldn't have thought of it. I guess he knew it wouldn't work. But with kind of those, it's always hard to say this is a plot hole because no one thought of it, when you haven't thought of it until either it comes up or well after, you watched it for the first time. That's not a plot hole. I mean, it's nice if they were to, answer it in the show, but the answer is, well, they didn't think of it either. I did want to point out, so this is a scene where Admiral Janeway absolutely just screams and freaks out. Comment! Don't get that. You're being naughty today. You're being a naughty dog. Come on, go to sleep. This was a scene where Janeway just totally screamed and freaked out at, at Murph. We don't know it's Janeway yet, but knowing it's Janeway, that was a bit interesting. Janeway's been very well characterized and written in this whole series. This was the one bit I made me that's interesting. But even, this isn't gonna be on the animators, I think, of course, but, the poses, Dal stands more like Janeway, wait, how do I describe it? Janeway is Dal, stands like Janeway, she acts like Janeway, she has confidence in the posture and everything. Dal, as Janeway, looks a lot like Gwen here, He's uncomfortable in his body because it's so big. And actually, the fact that Janeway isn't uncomfortable in Dal's body, it helps elevate her more. This is the Starfleet Admiral. Kind of like what Lower Decks does, where it will often draw the bridge and the senior officers better and at a higher quality than the lower deckers to kind of elevate the position and the honor and the everything that comes with being that head of Starfleet, and also to kind of make the lower decks just feel a bit scrappier. We got here our preview for the Prodigy VR game. Just the first person camera going through. We got this bit. Here's another one, actually. There are Vulcans on this ship that could presumably just mind-weld with Janeway and verify that everything she has said is true. Dal wouldn't have known this when he might be deciding if he should come clean to Starfleet. But, next episode, Janeway should be get that guy down here and mind meld to verify that I am Admiral Janeway, everything I've said is true, and you can see exactly what's happening. You can even see what happened to Chakotay. Going through a bit further. Let's see. I will say, one of my biggest pet peeves, it's common in Star Trek, is a captain, a senior officer of some kind, is acting weird or denying a medical exam. It's usually denying a medical exam honestly. And then, the doctor comes and is like, I need you to report to sickbay and run some tests. And they're like, oh, I'm busy, whatever. Like, I got command. This is a dangerous thing. It's like, no, doctor, I'm not going to go. And they're like, that's the end of it. No. Like, you're the doctor is the only person on the ship who can give the captain an order, and that order is captain report to sickbay. That is the end of story. Like, maybe if they're like actively in some sort of battle, maybe then, like, like they're actively commanding troops, but that's very extraordinarily rarely the case. And this one, they were still slow. They're kind of, they're actively dealing with the protostar. They have other things on the mind, but it was refreshing to see this kind of dealt with so quickly, where they're like, no, Admiral, report to sickbay. Like, come on. I'll say that was refreshing. I mean, if it was shorter, like the episode couldn't have happened, I do recognize that. But, I think this is probably the best written one off the top of my head of why they can't just bring, like, the captain, admiral, whatever, to sickbay. Moving on a bit. Yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot to say here. I love this little Voyager model. That's nice. Nice touch. Who doesn't love these little references? Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't think the ensign's gonna want this, like, incompetent Janeway thrown into the brig. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of at this point when the Tellurite's like, your brainwaves are weird. How long is it until they bring Janeway to the brig? Because we spend a lot of time on the protostar, but other than that, it's like basically instantly, is the captain's brainwaves are weird. Presumably he has to go to the commander and be like, look, this is what's up. The commander's like, yeah, we have to, like, get her to sickbay. Then they have to prepare a security detail. So it is basically, like, it's not quick. I don't think, deposing your captain should be a, like, particularly speedy process. But this was probably about how long it would really take, especially when they're dealing with the protostars simultaneously. I liked calling the whole fleet. I like they were in the core of Federation space, and so when they called the whole fleet, it made sense that they would have a whole fleet there. It made sense that they would all be kind of arriving at the same time. This might be the first ever case of we're right next to Earth and every starship is available. It's the opposite of, the common troop. No one's around Earth. It's like, no, we have like 20 fleets in Earth, Vulcan, and Andor who are all right next to each other. And Teller Prime is probably not too far away either. And of course, I was like, yeah, that's going to be fun, seeing all the classic ships that they're going to bring to the table. Getting over my cough. That's nice. Still a bit there. But, yeah, I already discussed this scene a bit in the little preview. I like that Holo Janeway saw Admiral Janeway. I think that was kind of a nice touch. Going through a bit more. Yeah, I wonder how much Holo Janeway knows about what happened to Chakotay. Because it looks like maybe the logs could be corrupted. Like, that's why the video stopped. That might be what they're going for. Holo Janeway probably wasn't activated. It wouldn't have been activated when Chakotay sent the protostar back in time and did all that stuff. So it's possible she doesn't really know. I'd imagine there'd be logs in the ship if you actually took some time to dig to figure out what happened to Chakotay. But I guess that I think that's probably the most likely place season 2 is going. I think they might have to do some gymnastics to get the main cast in there. Like, maybe you could say a Red Squad thing, like, we need these cadets to help with the Protostar. It's like a training mission. I don't know. Admiral Janeway could probably do whatever the heck she wants, right? Like, if Admiral Janeway is like, yeah, I want these kids, Starfleet's gonna be like, fine, take them, take these cadets. Or maybe even some sort of proving mission, like, for Dal, that could be an arc. Like, to get Dal into Starfleet, it's his proving mission, like, trying to find Chakotay. I don't know. That's speculation. We'll get into speculation more at the end of this. Not much to say about the charade stuff. I think I already talked about the escape. I want to touch on this, with Dal being an augment, so he can't join Starfleet. That is generically true. I think I probably talked about some of that stuff in the episode, the episode where he augmented himself further. But, this is Admiral Janeway. Again, this is like the hero of Voyager. This is a very big name, very big. She could throw her weight around. And there is precedent. At this point in the timeline, we have Bashir, who they let continue through Starfleet. We have that woman who was part of the originally 4, but then 3 augments that Bashir kind of had to look after in Deep Space Nine. I can't remember their names. Peter was one of them, but there was the woman who Bashir kind of cured whatever was ailing her, so she could function normally, better than normally, in society. And they just let her go off into society. So there is precedent to let augments in. I think modern Star Trek is working against that anti-augment philosophy that arguably kind of started in Enterprise. But, you have the Strange New Worlds crew being very against the policy. But at this point in the timeline, you have a lot more freedom to actually start going about the change and changing Starfleet's beliefs in a way that Strange New Worlds can't because of its prequel status. And this is so far before Discovery. This is basically present day Star Trek. Picard hasn't done anything with it, so that they can mess with this philosophy. And I'd be all for that. But there's definitely precedent that with Admiral Janeway coming in with recommendations and stuff, that Dal can go through. I have no doubt that's a thing that they could make happen. And it'd be really weird in the show to kind of have Dal's an augment so he can't join Starfleet. That would be weird. Maybe they make some message out of it, but whatever. I really liked this scene. In a lot of ways, of the Diviner being like, my whole life, Starfleet was the monster that destroyed my home. But, when he's just this act of how they cared for him, how they tried to help cure him, everything he's done living with them. He's like, your kindness was unexpected. He's like, but, I do still have to save my world. I liked they let Janeway go like this. I think the Diviner will have some redemption arc in the finale. Maybe he'll even die, but I could see him trying to go for a peaceful thing, like maybe just don't contact my world. He can tell Starfleet what's happened and be like, don't contact my world. Temporal Prime Directive stuff starts kicking in, but I love that the Diviner's seen what Starfleet is, what it really is, kind of understood like maybe the mistake that happened, and he's choosing not to destroy them, but also the recognition, he's been doing this for so long, trying to find the Protostar, trying to do everything, that he's like realized that really he just wants his daughter to look after and have a future. He was arguably doing this for that future generations of his species. He's also the past ones, his current ones. But he's like this, it's not right to destroy the Federation. I really like this. I like where the Diviner's going. I like this character arc they're setting up. I think it'll have a great payoff in the finale. I saw Anakit's comment. Why Starfleet made this injustice to augment? Seriously. Yeah, I've been against this from um there we go. I'm back. How long was I out, everyone? I don't know how long I was out for. Um Yeah, I haven't long. You're gonna have to catch up. Um the stream clocked out for a bit there. But Starfleet's policy towards genetic engineering never made sense. It has been based on superior ability breeds superior ambition. But more specifically, it's been based on the fact that before the eugenics wars, when humanity did genetic engineering, they were irresponsible and they boosted the abilities of people by tweaking things that also increased aggression and just a lot of very dangerous things you don't want. And then they went, we'll never do this again. It's kind of the argument of a nuclear disaster and then going like, well, we can never use this whole technology we just never use.
I'm running to the store to grab soda.
All right, have fun.
Want anything?
I'm
just going to Harvest Foods.
I think I'm good.
Okay.
I've got plenty of food.
Okay.
But yeah, it's nonsensical. The philosophy.
Nathan's human.
It's all.
Did Nathan tell you about the nipple on the wall?
I did tell them about the ceiling nipple at the start. But the philosophy has always just been one mistake, complete abstinence, and it's even been like it's avoidable. Like it's like, yeah, they were just horribly irresponsible, and all the augments who can't function are because it's like the answer they give in the show is this is an unregulated, illegal thing being done in super dodgy circumstances. It's always been nonsensical. It just has. And it maybe made sense in the real world, in the 60s and 70s, maybe even 80s, because of what eugenics was. And even like eugenics, eugenics is bad. We kind of lump them together in Star Trek, but the genetic engineering and eugenics are two very separate things, and eugenics is inherently bad. And they kind of lumped, like, well, eugenics uses genetic engineering, therefore genetic engineering is bad. Again, that's like nukes use uranium, therefore nuclear power plants are bad kind of argument. Yeah. It's like, that doesn't make sense in any way. But then another comment from Aniket, the Diviner got that redemption arc. It's the one why I like this show. Yeah, I wasn't expecting a Diviner redemption arc. I mean, I was expecting him to be done when the first half of the season ended. Like, his arc was just done. I'm being handed a puppy now. But yeah, I'm very happy with this. Alex, you have any thoughts?
I'm reading your
You're reading my chat?
Yeah. Hi, chat. You probably missed me because I wasn't talking because I was upstairs.
They were upstairs.
My sister with the baby.
Yep.
Sarah's sick.
They're leaving now. Oh, everyone's been sick recently.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, let's go through. I liked the bit where Dal, I guess, was crawling in front of the camera.
Hi, chat.
I think it's the first time we've kind of had, like, a sense of a real physical camera as the view screen. I know they've referenced it, but it's like, yeah, somewhere on this hull, there's just a lens poking out that you can get real close to. We've never had a dirty lens in Star Trek. That could be, there's room for a dirty lens gag. But yeah. Here's another bit with Murph, where it's like, Murph, stretch as hard as you can. If Janeway is Dal, just kind of let go and drifted into that tractor beam, everything would be fine, Dal would be on the ship again. They seem to be really against boarding the Starfleet vessel. But yeah, like they even referenced in this episode that they couldn't use the shuttles to get onto the Dauntless. I wonder if they could have just lowered their shields to beam onto the... Well, then the Dauntless would have to lower their shields to beam them aboard. Yeah, that wouldn't have worked. But, yeah, they seem to be really against the Prodigy crew being on the Dauntless, and I don't fully understand why. Like, I get the gamble, but when Dal's already there, as Janeway, it's just that did detract from me. Like, why don't you just come clean? And even if he gave reasoning that I disagreed with, that would have just explained it, at least. I would have understood why he's thinking what he thinks, but I never understood his thought process, so I didn't get the, like, it didn't feel like it made sense. It felt like he only wasn't talking because if he did talk, the plot would be solved. So let's move on. Yeah, do you want to play a game of Spot That Starship? Let's go. Here we go. I like that the fleet is mostly composed of sovereign classes. I think this is interesting, so close to the Inquiry class, but then again, we're maybe like 15 years out. I don't know. I feel like the Sovereign disappeared pretty quickly. I'm pretty sure these little ships here we see are Centaur classes, which you see some in Deep Space Nine. They're usually black-ground ships, but I think you do get good looks. Akira's, little bit. Is that a Constitution? Way back there. Is that a movie Constitution? It might be an Excelsior. We're never gonna get a high quality. I like that it's not a lot of models we've had before. Like, I think Picard did make a Sovereign. Picard did make an Akira. I actually would be surprised if this wasn't the Akira class from Picard. Even just the coloring, the kind of texturing, it looks a bit more real than Prodigy. With it paused so long, these actually kind of look more like 2D images. But yeah, I mean, reuse the models. I can't think of the name for them. Like, why not? That's fine. A few more, because oh, wait. Is that a Centaur? Yeah, it looks like there's a hole. That's definitely a Centaur. But you can see it much clearer there. And then at some point, it's going to pop up. Oh, where are you? Is it going to be in the next shot? Because it's two. It is these three ships. Well, four ships. But Sovereign, Centaur, and Akira, which is kind of interesting. I did not expect the Centaur. Oh, and of course this TMP. I could see it being the Picard's Titan if they're reusing models, but it's also so far away. Like, you do not have to put detail into that TMP Enterprise. Is that like a Maquis Raider, actually, that thing down there? Or is that like a Nebula? Oh, here we go. It's gonna pop up. But let's look around. Yeah, Sovereigns, Centaurs. I don't think... Oh, no, there are some Akiras. Or is that even a Titan? No, that's an Akira. It's got a belly. But popping up... There we go! A Defiant! There's only one. Maybe it even is the Defiant. But that's nice seeing the Defiant. Oh, you know, I've just realized they actually did have a Constitution class model. Because in one of the early episodes, when Janeway was showing, like, the history of Starfleet, they had some old ships, like the Discovery, Voyager. There had to have been a Constitution there that you could maybe just recolor, put it in the as a background blur. I'm kind of against if it is a Constitution class, just because it's so old. The Excelsior superseded it. And you'll hear me talk all about how nonsensical having a Constitution class in this time frame is once Picard comes out. Don't worry. I'm not going to bash the Titan in other series because I know I'm going to bash the Titan A so damn hard when Picard comes out. But yes, then we get Janeway in the brig. So yeah, I mean, speculation. I think it's pretty clear that the end of this season is going to resolve the construct, the Starfleet thing. It's going to resolve so much. I'm not against Prodigy becoming a Starfleet Academy show. I think it would be weird to drop the Chakotay plotline. I think that would be very strange for a legacy character to just abandon Chakotay 50 years in the future, unless they're planning on coming back to that in a different series. That would be weird. So I think we're going to see we were going to go into something like that. I don't know how they'd get, like, Janeway. Well, it'd be weird if you actually had Admiral Janeway commanding this crew. Because Admiral Janeway would go after the Protostar. Oh, I've just realized. Second Defiant. Hollow Janeway would be weird. You'd have to get rid of that character. It'd be weird to get rid of the Protostar. Maybe they would. Maybe, in fact, actually, what could happen is they stop the Diviner's plot here. Starfleet decides not to make contact with their species, and then Chakotay never got trapped by his species. He would go through the anomaly and maybe just come back. But then, like, why is Gwen here? Gwen would have to disappear. I don't know. I don't know. I can see it's going to end, but I don't know where it's going. I like that. I think that's a good place to be. And I was a bit underwhelmed by how they resolved the Diviner and Dreadnought situation. Of course, we now know the Diviner was not resolved in the mid-season, but Dreadnought did felt underwhelming in an otherwise very good finale. I hope we don't have a repeat of that. You know, I mean, it was a very good mid-season finale, but I do hope, they nail these big endings, these big story beats. Anakin again. Can we see the Romulan supernova in Star Trek Prodigy Season 2? Because Prodigy is 4 years away from the Romulan supernova. I was gonna say I doubt it, but actually a time skip, like a, little anime time skip for Prodigy, has merit. It might be odd. Let me type something. Star Trek timeline. Actually, just timeline Lou. It might be odd having the 9-10-year-old Rock Talk voice actor voicing an older Rock Talk, especially when they have already aged more than the other crew by some unknown amount. But, maybe just her species age's weird. Maybe that's just what Rock Talk sounds like, that you can do it. What I've brought up here, if I just fast forward a bit, make sure I'm not going to stream anything bad, is I love this timeline. Just Google Star Trek timeline. It is the Wikipedia. In fact, I'm just going to throw this in chat. It is the Wikipedia article for the Star Trek timeline, which is better than Memory Alphas, if you can believe it. So, you've got the classic block, leads into Nemesis, Lower Decks Prodigy. It'd be weird, I think, for Prodigy to deal with the Nova, especially with how we know the Federation dealt with the Nova. That's very much Picard's territory, way over here. So, this is where we're building the Zhang-He's. I guess we've got time, to replace the Sovereign, if there's big events happening here. Like, there is a big event happening here. But, I'd be weird if you touched that territory. If Lower Decks goes on long enough, if Lower Decks gets 7 seasons, which I don't know, I feel like it might be shorter because animated ones tend to be, but that would brush up on the timeline. I doubt we'd see it, though. Yeah, I don't know. I'd be surprised, but I actually like your suggestion, Aniket, of a time skip. What you could do as well is potentially just have them attend the academy off screen, even just be like 2 years into the academy, assuming it's like a 4-year college, or it'd probably be whatever military like academies are. Like it's a Starfleet usually just borrows from the U.S. Navy, so they know they're still kind of scrappy underdogs. They're kids figuring it out, but they know more about Starfleet. They can kind of do those missions. They can feasibly go on some sort of mission, like training, like Red Squad did with the not Sao Pao, was it? It was a different Defiant class. I could see that. You have your cadet Prodigy crew. And, Starfleet's worked some time to figure out how to get to Chakotay. They're going to send out the mission, and the weird is, why are these kids involved in the mission to get Chakotay? I don't know if that'll ever make sense, but that feels like a sensible, that feels something vaguely along these lines makes sense for a season 2. I don't think they'll just go to the Academy, because Starfleet Academy, I still hear, is a show that is moving forward. I've never heard, like, if Prodigy season 2 was just them at the Academy, then Star Trek Academy would have been dead by the last Star Trek day, where I'm pretty confident it was talked about, and it's been referenced as an in-development show. Very early, like Section 31, but Prodigy would have been dropped, because that decision, especially with how long it takes to make Prodigy, that decision would have been made so long ago. I don't think we'll get the Academy, but I like the idea of a time skip, where these are cadets on some kind of mission. A 20-episode mission? I don't know. Like, either an accident has to force these people to deal with getting Chakotay, but if you separate from the Federation, you could argue it's kind of just the same plot as, again, like, very high level of them trying to get to the Federation. It's like treading on Season 1's waters. I just don't know where this show's gonna go. I mean, Picard has, like, 3 very unrelated plots, It's just, with these being kids, like, their next step is sensibly to go to the Academy. I don't know where they're gonna take a Season 2. Which they'll probably figure something out, but yeah, I think that's probably it. I'm gonna hear, just so I know when you catch up with the stream. Actually, yeah, let's look at our fancy ships. I think that was a good episode. That plot gripe, kind of major, actually, because it is pretty central, like, to the plot happening. But the fun of watching Kate Mulgrew and voice act as Dal, the animation they did for her as Dal, watching Janeway you bumble around like a child who's way out of their depth because that's what's happening. That was fun. I did, focusing on that did help a lot with that problem I had of why doesn't Dal just talk to Starfleet. But, of that great episode, looking forward to the finale. Really should be able to do it Christmas Eve. I don't know if anyone else will be here for, I might move it to Friday because I have that day off. I don't know, I'll work something out, keep an eye on the community tab and everything. But then, hang on. Is my calendar wrong? Because my calendar has an episode of Prodigy. My calendar has 2 episodes of Prodigy left. I swear it was just 20 episodes. Star Trek Prodigy. Let me get up. Nope, I have to add memory alpha. Star Trek Prodigy, season 1, 3 parts. Oh, I guess, yeah. No, there are 20 episodes. Oh, wait, no, there are 2 more episodes. This is episode 18. I'm completely confused. It's a parts 1 and 2. The next episode, Supernova, part 1, and then and then the next week it is Supernova part 2. I don't know how they're gonna make this 2 parts. It feels like a 1-parter to me, but hey, I guess we'll see. So yeah, sorry, I'm completely wrong. We have 2 more episodes of Prodigy, and then a big break until Picard in February. When is Picard? Yep, in February. And Monday video should hopefully come back by January. The Starship reviews, maybe some other stuff. My cough prevented me from recording, then Alex's sickness, now the holidays. But we should hopefully get back into that stuff with me and Alex. And I want to, hopefully in that gap, I want to get, between Prodigy and Picard, I want to get a new watch order guide for modern Star Trek, because it is well overdue. But yeah. So I shouldn't just disappear between Prodigy and Picard. Hopefully I shouldn't disappear. But you've caught up with me. No one is saying anything. So with that, I believe... Oh, wait, hang on. Is this a transition button on OBS? Effect filters. Oh, I finally figured out. I finally figured out how to do things that aren't just like this. I finally found the transition button. Next episode, we'll maybe have a nicer transitions. So with that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.